Happy Friday. I'm the Grace Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today. We are going to get started on today's daily collective read in the next few minutes, but if you'd like to get on the list for a personal reading, the list, as always, is open. As always, it is 3 cards for a donation of 29 or more, 4 cards for a donation of 23 or more for my subscribers. Links in my bio. Please keep in mind there are 2 things I do not read for across these apps. Those are pregnancy and medical. Happy to give insight on anything in private readings, and you can book private readings on my site. We are also doing 2 giveaways today. Our first reading giveaway will be a reading giveaway when we get to 50K likes. So make sure you're tapping that screen. We will get to 50K in no time. Our other reading giveaway will be a reading giveaway for the highest gifter between now and the conclusion of the daily collective read. So I wish you a lot of luck if you're participating in that. Prior to beginning our daily collective read, I will be giving a brief recap on what we've been seeing in the cards over the last few days. If you would like to see those full readings, you can find them over on the place where we keep the photos. You can also find them over on the place where we keep the videos. You can also find them as a podcast over on my spot at Tarot Church. Oh my gosh, I love it. And over on my Substack. That one's so strange. But before we begin, most important question, scale of 1 to 10. How are we feeling today? How are we feeling? Welcome to Retrograde Central. You know, I feel like I just want to say I feel like everybody owes Mercury a little bit of an apology right now, because I would not be surprised if you tell me that this retrograde felt a lot easier to navigate when Mercury was in Leo. I bet it felt a little bit more easy to navigate when Mercury was in Leo, because, as I mentioned, I want to describe it. It's like working through the density of that. It was a little bit easier. I bet it was a little bit easier to have a little bit more compassion when Mercury was retrograding in Leo, because let this serve as the reminder that retrogrades, working through the retrograde problems or working through the issues that we often experience with retrogrades. The reason, I like to point this out. Mercury retrograding often allows us a space upon which we can energetically innovate upon something. It can allow for breakthroughs, and we can take a lot of lessons in recognizing where Mercury is retrograding to help us understand what we need to innovate upon. Mercury was retrograding in Leo. Have you tried letting a little compassion in there, right? Getting through the frustration of the self, looking at something, right? I'm going to tell you and walk you guys through why this retrograde energy. I bet you're going to tell me right now, I feel really vulnerable. I feel like something happened that wasn't a big deal, but it triggered the heck out of me. It reminded me of something from the past in a big way, like it got a lot of that. Yeah, of course it did. We got Chiron and Eris that are retrograding together. They're almost on top of each other and they're retrograding. Chiron is about old wounds. Eris is an energy of chaos. So if you're feeling really chaotic right now around something that happened a long time ago, feeling energetically frustrated upon a trauma that it's hard to let go of, right? Neptune retrograding in Saturn. I don't like to feel this way. I don't want to feel this way. I'm sick of feeling this way, right? That was why the Mercury retrograding in Leo was helping, because when we're feeling frustrated on the things that we energetically carry, and then we've got Mercury retrograding. Mercury retrograde says, have you tried putting a little compassion on that? Have you tried putting a little compassion on the self? Have you tried putting a little compassion on the situation? A little compassion goes a long way, but this is why, again, it's understanding as well. And this is a little bit of the work we're also doing. Compassion doesn't necessarily mean niceness. Compassion is working through the energy of understanding something from a point of empathy and honoring another's choices, right? The ability to help facilitate upon another's choices is what we mean in relationality to being compassionate, right? It's a passion that is communicated, compassionate, right? The ability of allowing that force of care. And I keep on seeing not to force things. We're not compassionate when we force things. That's the hard thing you have to understand. When we're energetically compassionate, we allow our love, we allow our passion, the ability to move towards another person in a way that they are able to experience in the space which they can honor it, right? And that's what we mean about the odd. And this is sometimes why I'll tell you right now, I would not be surprised if you tell me right now, I'm trying to do the compassionate thing, and another person is trying to say that the compassion is energetically hurting them, because it's the space of understanding that when we're working through compassion, it's not always the easy thing, but it's the thing that we understand is progressing us in the right direction. And I'm going to tell you right now, this is potentially leading to either closing out of unhealthy energetic cycles, right? Via the recognizing and identifying hard truths that allow for that space of progress. This could be a lot of energy working in this space of saying, like, allowing the context of understanding that a healthy relationship does not require one to deprioritize the self, right? But that's often why it feels like it's difficult to move away from a difficult one, because often in the space of moving away from a place that feels energetically unhealthy, another person articulates that you're being selfish. But I keep on hearing the same message, that as long as the compassion that we're giving ourselves is exactly reciprocal to what we would give another person in the same situation, it's not selfish, it's energetically reciprocal. And I'm going to tell you right now, even in the thick of all of this wonkiness, in the thick of all of this, like messiness that the retrograde energy is bringing, I'll tell you right now, I'm seeing some partnerships that are coming together right now, incredibly strong partnerships. And the reason that we see that the energy right now, it's building into those strong partnerships, is because the energy in separation is working on, these are temperance partnerships. And there is an incredible amount of balance in these relationships. And I need to point this out. Balance does not mean tit for tat. Let's be absolutely clear for that. Balance does not mean the space by which you bring the same things to a situation. Balance means energetic harmony, right? It's understanding that counterpart, right? Like working in the context of counterpart. This is what we mean when we talk about, and this is what might be a little bit different to magician partnerships that we saw that were forming prior to that solstice period, because there's a little bit more sameness in some of those magician partnerships, but counterpart energy is working on, and the temperance relationships are working on, it's like complementary counterpart, right? The observation that when we don't need to be perfect, but when we find someone that complements our vulnerabilities, what do you find? Like, what happens there? Stability, right? It's the beauty of understanding that that's what counterpart means. And that's what we mean when we talk about feeling energetically complete, right? And this is why it's important of understanding this, where there's often this misambiguation that completeness means, oh, I felt like something was missing and now you're here and now I'm okay. That's not how it works. Complementary means that we find stability in ourselves. We know our strengths. And when we know, this is often why we find complementary relationship, when we know our strengths and we are honest about our vulnerabilities. Never before are we more ready or prepared to find complementary energy, because that's the energy that says, hey, I can help with that. That's my virtue. That's my strength. It's a good thing I'm here, right? It allows for the context by which we're able to articulate and ambiguate upon what it is that we're working upon. Now, at the same time, what are we effectively seeing with a lot of these energies in separation? The observation of the mutual effort, putting that care into something, putting that concentrated effort. A lot of these relationships that are forming right now, steady as she goes, right? They're not rushing through processes. I keep on hearing if it's healthy, doesn't feel like there's a need to rush through things, right? It's a lot of energy that is just like keeping, like I keep on having, like seeing, like there, I keep on hearing there's, when we feel like we're in a good place, there's no reason to rush things, which is the space by which, as long as there's healthy communication, anything is effectively happening. And so that's why I keep on hearing there's a lot of nourishment that's potentially occurring in these relationships, because while it may not, I keep on hearing the energy that's saying like it doesn't feel like, I keep on hearing it doesn't feel like it's on some kind of like fast trajectory. I keep on seeing the energy feels like it's in the right space because they're also in the process of healing. And I would not be surprised if some of that energy is feeling very frustrated right now. Why are we seeing that? There may be some frustration that is being energetically communicated in relationality to some of those relationships. Well, we're in the midst of retrograde period. There, and when we're going through retrograde periods, things from the past come back before us metaphysically, spiritually, or tangibly, right? And one of the things I keep on seeing that's happening in some of these new relationships is the ability to potentially even predicate upon a situation or circumstance from the past wherein another person moved away from someone, not for the sake of wanting to effectively like end things, but with the deep invested hope that time was going to dissolve a problem. Never do we feel more pain than when someone moves away from us, hoping that time will dissolve a problem. Because when another person moves away from us with the hope that time will dissolve a problem, it articulates upon the fact of not wanting to apply energetic effort to something, not working to energetically fix something, not really necessarily seeing an energetic change within something, but almost the space of hoping that time would evaporate another person's standards to such an extent that they'd be able to come back towards them from a point of desperation. But this is why we, again, and I'm going to tell you right now, there's some energy right now. If that was the context by which someone was hoping for something to change, I would not be surprised if there's some energies right now reaching the ending or the closure of energetic cycles in relationality to, and I like this because I keep on hearing a rude awakening. But the reason they keep on calling it a rude awakening is because it's talking towards the discourtesy that places towards Saturn. Because you have to understand, Saturn is a guide energy. It gives us perspective. It demeans Saturn to expect that Saturn is going to fix something. Saturn is like, not what Saturn does. It's not their job. It's not what they do. Wrong department. And so that's why we see that for a lot of those relationships, potentially, if someone was moving away from something, expecting that another person would just become like hungry or thirsty enough to want something back, what are they finding as they energetically return? The nourishment of someone either working on themselves, concentrating on their own healing journey, or working in the context of building a healthy, nourishing relationship in the space of reciprocity. So that's why we see that there's a lot of that work that's happening here. And it may be difficult, right? It may be painful, but it's the understanding of what's moving in the right direction. So I see a lot of energy potentially moving into fundamental separation at this time, or new relationships that are beginning with the context and the understanding of clear manifestation goals and concentrated mutual effort. This brings us to a lot of the energy that's moving deeper into divine union. Now, for a lot of the energy moving into divine union right now, and I think that this is pretty interesting, because while we see that there's a little bit of this slowness that's happening right now for the energy that's in separation, the opposite is occurring for the energy that's moving deeper into divine union right now. For a lot of the energy moving deeper into divine union, this might even be a time of timelines that are being advanced, something that is energetically speeding up. Why do we see that some of these relationships, these are those magician partnerships that were starting between the time of the solstice period up until the time that Mercury and Venus stationed direct behind Neptune? Why are these energies picking up while the energy in separation is effectively slowing something down or like moving through something, because it's understanding of what it means to have that good direction sense. So for the energy and separation, the slowness is actually articulating upon the stability of the energetic partnerships that are forming right now, because they don't feel the anxiety of having to like rush into something in order to secure it, because they feel the heavy stabilization that is occurring there. While for the energy that's moving deeper into divine union, the surety of the relationship itself is creating the space or place where it feels almost absurd not to move something into a deeper relationship dynamic. And what's happening, and that's interesting for a lot of that energy that's moving deeper into divine union right now, is they keep on getting that there are messages, there are lessons that are coming through right now based upon and built upon chirality. Now, what is chirality? Chirality is the context by which something looks like something but is vastly different, right? The similarity that is cleared away when one is able to bring nuance into a circumstance or situation. So what are we seeing in relationality to some of that chirality now right now? It's coming in the form of teasing, is what I'm seeing. If these are spaces where in the past there was energy that felt like a relationship was being teased to them, what we're effectively seeing that is occurring right now is a lot of these relationships are able to recognize and understand the lesson that we only tease upon things that are certainties, if in order for it to be something that feels like it is delightful. A delightful tease is something that we flirt with, because it feels like the sense of the ridiculousness or the absurdity of pulling it away. It feels undeniable, right? It's working in the context of creating the energetic tension, right, in the space of certainty. This is why we see that a lot of these relationships right now are healing from experiences in the past where someone may have articulated that they said they were trying to tease another, but in fact it was an act of cruelty, which is the space by which one holds something to another person and says, you'll never receive this if you're acting like that. The conditionality by which another person articulates upon something that they don't necessarily have the expectation of bringing forth, but rather creating the cruelty of a conditional space where it feels like someone is always energetically failing instead of arriving into something that is healthy. So that's why we see even now that's why we see that even in the context of continuing to understand something and see something with clarity, this may be a lot of energy. I would not be surprised if this is a time right now where we may see a lot of proposals. We may see a lot of, I keep on saying, we may see a lot of elopements. We may see a lot of energy that's not necessarily feeling the reason to wait upon something, just to kind of move towards something with a lot of that vivacity or that giddiness. This brings us to the energy deep within divine union right now. And this is just to show you that qualitatively, there's no space on the frequencies where something is better or worse than another place. Because what we're effectively identifying is, for a lot of the energy right now, working through this retrograde, deep within divine union, it could be a lot of time and space that is spent right now based upon introspection, in terms of not making sure that one is not overly internalizing what may feel like a slowdown, or what may feel like a little bit of energetic stagnancy that sometimes can feel a little typical as we go through these retrograde cycles. There's also a lot of energetic. It's interesting because it's slow, but it's also intense, right? It's interesting. I would not be surprised for those deep within divine union if you tell me you have a feeling that nothing's happening, but a lot's happening because of a bit of this energy. It's a lot of kind of working on being comprehensive. It's working into the space of energetic expansion that often, I keep on saying, brings us into the context of having to work through old frustrations. But what we see that's happening for a lot of that energy deep within divine union is being able to articulate upon old problems in new ways, being able to recognize and identify something that you're working on doing better, either within the self or in the context of the relationship. I would not be surprised right now if this is some energy that is taking new approaches to things, because there's something about, again, calibrating upon that approach, being able to recognize and identify something and talk towards something in a way that allows you you an ability to see the self with more clarity, but also, again, to bring some compassion into a situation. This is what I meant about potentially that Mercury retrograde energy having helped to a certain extent, because it allows the context of remembering that when we are feeling energetically frustrated and we add a little bit of compassion in, we often are able to identify and recognize what it is that we're trying to have a breakthrough upon. That is where we find all of the energy for today. But go ahead and let me know in the comments how you feel in this particular energy. If you would like to find that full reading, you can find it over on the place where we keep the photos or the place where we keep the videos. You can also find it as a podcast over on my spot at Tarot Church and over on my Substack. That said, we are going to get started on today's daily collective read in the next few minutes. But if you would like to get on the list for today, the list, as always, is open. As always, it is 3 cards for a donation of $29 or more, 4 cards for a donation of $23 or more for my subscribers, Binks and my Lio. Please keep in mind there are 2 things I do not read for across these apps: pregnancy and medical. Happy to give insight on anything in private readings, and you can book private readings on my site. I'm going to take a moment to read over some of the comments that came through as I was reading, but let me know how you guys are doing today. Also, remember, the first person on the list each day will always have an additional card in their reading. V, so good to see you, dear. Always a pleasure. You were almost first. Good to see you, Nikki. How are you doing today? Grand Rising, Haley. How are you doing? Oracle, Erica. You have to catch the ball. Oh, I get it. So, yeah, I get it. Exactly. Oracle. Thank you. So good to see you. I'm grumpy. It's grumpy energy. I'm telling you right now, it's grumpy energy. It's irritable energy. I'm not surprised about it. Right? But it's working through the grumpiness. 3 out of 10. Hold on a minute. Let me just Yep. Let me check. Angry, irritated, frustrated. Also 3 hours of sleep. V, sending you support. Make sure you're prioritizing rest. I know. And listen, the reason I am telling you guys right now to make sure that you're working through this energy. We got eclipse season coming up. I need you guys. I know. It's intense. I can't, I wish I could be the one to tell you that it's going to ease up. It's going to amplify. So that's why we need to work right now very much on working towards feeling a sense of groundedness as we're going through things right now. We got a Pisces full moon coming up. That's emotional stuff. Okay. But here's the thing about it. When we're feeling fortified and strong in ourselves, we can handle a lot of emotion. Okay. Yep. And I can't sleep. Yeah. It's because of all the planets in Aries. It makes sleeping very difficult. It's hard to stay down. I would not be surprised if you feel exhausted, you go down and then you can't stay asleep. When do they come out of the microwave? They all come out in the mic. Listen, here's the thing, Oracle. They come out of the microwave at different times. I'm trying to figure out Jupiter's going retrograde in November. Saturn is going retrograde Uranus is going retrograde in September. It's, there's Pluto's stationing direct in October, which feels really apropos, to be perfectly honest. Pluto going direct in October, like October 13th, just feels like it feels very on the nose, to be perfectly honest. Oh, hi there, Adam. Good to see you today. Thank you for those gifts. And Celestara, thank you for sharing the live. Always appreciate when you guys share the live. Angel Gates, thank you for sharing the live. Kay, so good to see you guys. Please welcome our PM, Kay Megan, in the room. Make sure to give them some love. And Nisa, thank you for the follow. V, I know. And thank you for those hashtags too. I love our talks too, Angel Gates. I'm not going to sugarcoat things here. Okay. I'm not going to be, listen, I am not the person to come to sugarcoat things, but I do it because I'm just telling you how it is. Okay. I'm just the messenger. Okay. Happy almost weekend, Per. Good to see you. And Katie, thank you for the follow. And thank you for those roses, dear. All right, friends. Kate and Nikki, by the way, the little tarot reading sticker is way too small. I know, I'm making it bigger now. Thank you for telling. Hold on a minute. Oh, there it is. Now it's big again. I fixed it. Hold on. Thank you for letting me know. You see? I've tried the ma calling of the cat. Hold on a minute. I lost my spot. I've tried the ma calling of the cat method today. The kitty looked at me like I was nut. Oh, I think I've heard that. Like you say ma and it does something. I don't know. It was big a second ago. Now it shrunk. Adam, when I said, um, oh, whoa, I mean, what does it mean? I mean, what is that I feel like that's an interesting koan to get from that and from that meditation, Adam. And again, if you want to draw cards in terms of like what that might mean, I don't think it's going to be, I don't think it's like, I don't want you to look at that as too bleak. There are different ways to interpret that message. Luxury, that works sometimes. If my heart says, give it time, leave it for now, it might not be mine to fix. Beautifully said, Luxury. And it's interesting too, because I feel like it almost like it moves in accordance with what Adam was saying. Erica, my ex came back after almost 18 months. My head and heart are at war. My head needs to win. I'm sending you so much support, Erica. But this is, we've been reading for a lot of this now. It's retrograde season. Things come back from the past spiritually, um, like tangibly, even I want to say, like, I've been seeing a lot in the dreams that we've been doing interpretations on here, because we do dream interpretations as well. Progress. Let the identification point in the difference, and keep on remembering, like, the messages have been coming through. Missing things doesn't fix things. Talking about how something has changed fixes things. So make sure that you're focusing on your manifestation goals, and make sure that anything that's coming back is able to articulate what has changed or what has energetically progressed. Personal intuition, desires of our guides. Here's the thing about it, and I need to stress this, and I need to point this out. A healthy guide does not have desire. I need to stress that, Luxury. A healthy guide does not have desire. A guide is not here. And this is the thing, a good guide is never going to let their desire circumvent your choice of effort. A guide is there to be a guide, which is, again, a guide doesn't have desire. A guide helps one in terms of identifying what one needs in order to achieve the things that one is setting about to do. So let that fortify you as well. Now, and the thing about it, that's why I'll tell you right now, that's how I can usually tell the difference between ancestral energy and guide energy. Okay? Ancestral energy's got some desires. Let me tell you. Ancestral energy's got some things to say. And that's even when I do readings. I've had situations where I will be doing readings and I'll say, you've got an ancestor that's coming through. And they'll sometimes say, like, anything I'm telling them, they may have something saying completely different, right? Because the context by which we're able to recognize our path work is understanding the direction that we want things to go. Absolutely. Hold on a moment. This is really resonating. You're so welcome, Emily. Thank you for receiving it. Dreaming of Saturn, life's better on Saturn, floating away. No, listen, none of the planets are coming to save you. We save ourselves, okay? We got this. That's a nice word. It is. They have been temporarily. Oh, thank you. Thank you for that. Yeah, I saw that they were being very insistent. Thank you appreciate that, Kay. Real life, remember, you deserve to be chosen and cherished the first time. Beautifully said, Nikki. And thank you for recharging your heart and ease channeling. Hope you're having a beautiful day. I like to give people as many chances as possible. Beautifully. I mean, and here's the thing about it, right? And that's what I say. Like, we give someone the benefit of the doubt until there's no doubt. And that's the type of energy we're talking in relationality to. And I keep on hearing, compassion does not come at the exclusion of the self, right? When we're being energetically compassionate, we're being compassionate to ourselves as well as being compassionate to those around us. It's not selfish if it's reciprocal. Me too. Thank you. And excellent. You guys, I don't know what it means, but they're saying my fan club completed the first stage of a club quest. I don't know what that means, but I want to congratulate you guys. We did it. What did we do? I don't know, but we did it. Woo! Yes, the sticker is small again. Oh, thank you for letting me know, channeling. I appreciate you. And Varian, thank you as well. Proposals or elopements. I'm at a wedding right now. Oh, that's wild. It was a little heavy with the mute and when I first started, so I pulled back. Watch out, guys. God, watch out. The retrograde's impacting my mod, guys. The retrograde's impacting my mod. I feel a lot more chirpy now. I'm glad to hear it, dear. It's a controlled crush. It is. You see that? Look at that. She's like, I caught myself and now I'm coming back out of it. It was very well said. I was like, this would make a good standalone TT, the video, actually. That's a good way to describe it. What part? I'm grumpy too. I feel destabilized. Well, then, Emily, it's okay to work on feeling stabilization right now. That's okay to do, right? Like first, and I need to stress this right now. I need to stress this. Whenever I read for clients, Spirit's first directive, right? This is why we talk about making sure that you're in a space that you're energetically healthy before you're energetically dealing with things, right? Being able to be in that space. Grumpy energy makes sense. So I force myself to have an everything shower. Well done. And that's exactly what I mean, right? Work towards, if you're feeling, I need to stress this like now, we were talking about this yesterday. I think I'm going to bring it up. I'm going to bring it up over in the Discord. We need bliss lists right now. We need bliss lists. We need lists of things that help you feel better when you're not knowing, when you're feeling awful is what we need to do. That was coming through heavily yesterday in someone's reading, but I feel like it's very relevant now as well. All the Aries energy. No, that's what I mean. There's too many planets right now that are retrograding in Aries. It's like it takes the patience on things and it wears it down to a nub. And I'm going to tell you right now, I would not be surprised. I do not, and I'm not, and here's the thing I'm saying about this. It's not to say that the things that you're being impatient upon are valid or not. Make sure you can articulate why, because I'm going to tell you right now that the retrograde, this retrograde, with it retrograding out in Neptune and Saturn, it's doing a little wonkiness in our own perception of time, right? It feels like things are taking longer than they actually are. And so what I want to avoid happening is coming out of this retrograde period, getting frustrated upon something, right? Snapping upon it. And then when you're coming out of the retro period saying to me, I don't know why I was getting all stressed out about it. And I'll be like, I know why. You were going through the retrograde period in Aries. It makes us all very temperamental. It makes us all, and I keep on seeing like this is something that and this is why it's a little bit easier for those with Aries placements, because Aries placements work on this their whole lives, right? Anger makes us short-sighted, right? When we're feeling valid in our anger, we're sometimes short-sighted. And here's the thing about it. Sometimes it's okay, right? As long as we're able to say the reason that we're feeling frustrated is something that feels energetically justifiable. And I keep on hearing, if you're not sure about that, say it out loud. If you can't articulate why you're upset, if you feel embarrassed to talk about why you're upset about something, that's usually something, again, that's usually indicative of something that's an inside problem, right? It's something that we need to work on internally, because I keep on hearing our anger becomes validated when we can say it out loud, when we're proud of our anger. Like we're proud of our anger because it's the ability to articulate upon something and being able to explain why we are upset. So I keep on hearing, and that's what I meant about these temperance partnerships having. I'm going to tell you right now, I would not be surprised if some of these new temperance relationships that are coming together, they're talking to each other about their irritations. And what did I tell you? What are the church bells? What are the bells I keep hearing in a lot of these relationships that are coming together right now? They're being fortified in mutual alignment, which is you have a right to be upset. The observation of being able to take accountability for something that either you both mutually see or something that energetically bothers you that another person is able to observe and remediate upon immediately. That is the sound of progress, right? It's the accountability that then and that's how easy it can be, right? That's how beautiful it becomes when we're in a healthy space when it comes to the things that are bothering us. Because when we're able to be bothered about something, and then we articulate it, and we're in an energetic partnership where someone's saying, that's valid. I can work on that. I can change. I can do that, right? Like it allows the context of energetically getting somewhere. But at the same time, that's what I meant about there potentially being some moments right now. If there are relationships where there's a tendency to try to allow time to dissolve a problem instead of resolve a problem, mm, I don't, it's not gonna be a great time right now, right? Yeah. So, hold on a minute. I was in the war. Hold on a minute. We're going back to Leviticus. Apple, can you tell me who wrote Leviticus? Those aren't the words of Christ Yeshua. Those aren't the words of Christ Yeshua. Walk me through who wrote Leviticus, my dear. You come in here all the time. I need to stress this. You come in here all the time and you quote a book of letters from someone. From someone. I want you to tell me where those letters came from. Explain to me the history of who was writing them. Walk me through that, because you come here all the time quoting that book. Have you read the rest of the book? Have you read the rest of the book? Those are not the words of Christ Yeshua. I'm fine with it, but I just want to understand if you understand the provenance of the book that you keep on referring to. I've read it. Have you also looked at the original translations? I'm happy to have this conversation with you, but I want to make sure that you're not just taking excerpts out of letters where you don't understand the context of the person who wrote them or who they were writing them to. And again, I do notice that you come in here all the time. So there's obviously something here that you want to receive. And I'm going to say it again. You're welcome to receive it, but this is a sanctuary. And a sanctuary space honors those who are within it. They don't come in here casting judgment. They don't come in here casting fear. Same exact rules that Christ Yeshua had. Same exact rules. If you can be nice, and if you can stay and be nice and be compassionate to those around us, but if you are going to try to throw Leviticus, a book that is trying to condemn others, everything that Christ Yeshua was the opposite about, then perhaps you might want to go somewhere else. I hope you have a beautiful day, and I hope you truly find the healing you seek, and I hope you understand the force of compassion that is in that book, that you have a tendency of only quoting that one single book in the enormity of a density of an incredible tome. I hope you have a lovely day, dear. Nikki, I was at war between my head and my heart for a long time. Eventually, I had to choose me for health. Beautifully said, Nikki. Tap to claim and sanity. But this is what we talk about with the healing journey, the ability to recognize and identify, to be able to work through things. And again, feeling, and perfect example, feeling justifiably frustrated as it relates to others' difficulty in understanding concepts or working through things. This is the type of energy that we find ourselves in right now. Oh dear. I love how I was talking about it, and then also applies to the collective. We have a quest. I love it per Club Quest. It sounds good. I don't know what the quest is, but it's interesting, is it not? Yes. And oh yeah, please send in the Discord. I meant when I first became a mod. No, you have. You're amazing in that case. No, I absolutely listen. I absolutely trust your judgment in relationality to when you understand that someone is not being courteous to the rules of the space. Yes. And everyone knows I have quest trauma now. Hi there, Kay. Good to see you as always. Oh, I don't know what club cheers are. I have no idea what that means, Nikki. I may have just popped on my SR at work. I don't know what that is. I love them too. I won't let anyone ruin that for me. AJ, there are serious mechanical issues everywhere. Lots of delays, lots of things breaking down. Hopefully right now, AJ, that's going to get a little bit easier now that Mercury isn't retrograding. But yeah, we're still going through the shadow period of that. It's an inside joke for me. The crash outs have been valid. Aries moon. Sending you support, Kristen. Thank you for encouraging everyone to tap the screen, Nikki. No regrets. But this is the thing, I need to point this out. The way you're saying that, no regrets for my crash out, like that's the space where one says, I was upset, but I had a very valid reason for it. I would not be surprised if there's some energetic situations right now where there are those who are having what they might articulate as a valid crash out, which is to say, I had a right to be upset about something because it wasn't okay. Right? That's that is like that is a crash out in the best way possible. It's like working through the understanding, and this is how we can articulate it when we're bothered about something that we're able to say, we're able to fully articulate upon it. Then that's the context by which we can have a healthy, energetic conversation. No regrets. Exactly. Maybe Apple can share the pages of the book on Discord. Yes, become a. There we go. I can share the pages of it. I've read it. I know it. I would love to learn more. Hold on a minute. I would love to learn more about what you're discussing. I have a lot of Christian families, Sean. But listen, I need to point this out. The book is beautiful, but it's a consortium. It's a consortium of different things. It's not all written by the same person. So it's understanding the context by which the books are written allows you to understand what that one was trying to talk about at the time that it was written. And that's why we see a big difference in the Old Testament versus the New Testament. And there are those that articulate upon the conversation or the argument that you find in those two modalities. There's something very interesting that happens in the philosophy of the book itself, depending on which book you are looking upon as a source of reference. Yes. And I would love, I'm happy to post that there, Lisa. I would be very happy to put that information there because I keep on pointing out, beautiful source. There's beautiful things in that book, but there's also complicated things that need to be sorted out. There's a story in that book about like there's some very terrible things that we find in that book, right? It's making sure that we understand the context of the narratives that come through in the space of it. Yep, an apple a day. I think I'm the apple a day. I wish I would call out these judgmental religious when they're here in the chat because I mean, and listen, it's not. I need to point this out. I don't want to call out anyone. I am always open to a healthy conversation, but I need to point out the ability to try to say I'm allowed to hate someone because someone wrote something in a book at one point that gave me permission to hate someone. I like to say, if you're going to do that, at least make sure that you're interpreting what you're reading that's giving you the validation to hate something appropriately. Because if you're misinterpreting the thing that you're reading that's giving you a reason to hate something, then you're messing up on both levels. You're messing up on both levels. you know? Absolutely. And thank you for all of your help, Kay. I deeply appreciate it. I said they may have popped out. Oh, you may have popped off on them. Oh, that's what I understand. Sending you support, V. And I need to point out, listen, even understanding that this energy can get the better of us, being able to articulate, being able to move through something in a way that feels like it allows the context of being energetically effective. Like that's what we mean in relationality to working through, even working through our frustration in ways right now that allow us to be able to progress upon them. Can't handle the can we discuss? Oh, I would totally be up for that, dear. Valid crash out, right to be upset. My senior, oh, sending you support, V. When again, make sure that you're taking time to be compassionate for yourself as you do that work. Literally had my first crash out this retrograde. Listen, if you're having your first one, Carissa, congratulations, because this energy is intense. It feels like it puts a lot of pressure on things we feel energetically vulnerable about. But that's what I keep on saying. It's not, I keep on hearing the way we can understand like something that we feel heat upon that's valid is being able to articulate upon why, right? The ability to have that conversation, not just projecting our emotions on another person, but being able to articulate upon why something has meaning. I keep wondering, that is the frustration that fortifies us and allows us to be able to progress through things. Sending you so much support on that journey, dear. Yeah, valid. It wasn't okay. And I hope that it allows, I hope there's a context by which you can progress forward from it. Yes, always making sure to try to understand context. Hold on a minute. There's a lot of heavy things in there. No, there's a lot of complicated things in there. And the thing is, you also have to understand that you have to look at the interpretation in relationality to what's translation, There, I study the translations on certain texts to try to understand the base meaning behind them. We talk a lot about this even in the tarot classes I teach as it relates to the disambiguation that we sometimes recognize that occurs. Oh, we were talking about this in the tower class that we just had. A really good example of this, for instance, and I was teaching this in the class, is that there's often, according to the way people think about the story of Babel, they think that the tower got knocked down. That's not why the story is called Babel. It's called Belel, which means to confuse in Hebrew. So the tower was not knocked down. The arrival, it's used as a myth on the derivation of where languages came from. Because according to the story, and I love this, the higher power looked down and was like, oh no, they're too good. It's too easy for them to build things. I need to make it more complicated. So it's like, I love looking at that story as someone who is not like, it's not the audacity. When you read some of the stories upon it, it's not someone looking and saying, oh, the audacity. They're saying, oh, this is too easy. This is too easy for them. I got to make it a little bit more. I got to spice it up a bit by making it more challenging, by making it harder for them to understand one another. It's very interesting how even in the way that we build these stories, we don't understand the full story because we move so far away from the source, the context of the actual, like what's actually written down. I often feel that and I often feel that there's a space by which those who often refer to the story of Babel, they confuse it with the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. It's like they've taken the two and they squish them together. But even that story gets disambiguated. You know, it's like you can't, like, if you're going to reference it, it's very important to kind of make sure that you're looking back upon these things to understand not just the story itself, but how the story disambiguates in the energetic telling. Oh, that's fascinating, Lisa. Delta, your subscription's ending soon if you'd like to renew. Just like laws and constitutions, time change, society changes, not everything's applicable. Well, I need to point this out. And I like to point this out. I believe firmly that those in the past had a much better understanding of this. This is why we even see that, like, when we look at Greek and Roman culture, philosophy was very important because they didn't try to set about creating concrete laws. They have to understand that they used to look at laws like round shapes. That you have to bring the philosophy into something and understanding how, like, a law should be framed in how you think upon it, right? The ability to think upon it that shapes the law rather than the concreteness of the law. This is what we see with a lot of the Grecian philosophers that articulated upon a lot of the premises that we use to set those standards today. Yep. Oh, I just lost my spot. Hmm. And again, I like to point this out. I am someone who, and again, I do a lot of work in terms of working through tarot church in this fashion. I firmly believe that the tenets that hold religions together, they're all the same. The virtues that we find in those pathworks, it's beautiful. I deeply feel like what binds us together is far more important than what tears us apart. But when we start to move into the space by which we look at things and say, oh, that's against something that I feel, then we have to start understanding. We have to start looking for the connection points to understand where the deviations occur and why. Yeah, we have to be able to see through an allegorical or metaphorical lens rather than a literal. Beautifully, beautifully, beautifully said, Nikki. I'm actually going to pin that up because that's just the way you frame that and phrase that is like so wonderful. And Storm, thank you for the follow and thank you for those heart me's. So good to see you today. Kay, I had to step in and out a bit, but I'm listening. No problem, Kay. Always appreciated. Lots of, I mean, this is what happens in the context, and this is why we talk about, and we talk a lot about this here, even in the context of working through our own journey of trying to heal, right? Healthy healing is not trying to feel indulgent and then finding something that gives you permission to be indulgent, right? It's understanding and recognizing where the work is. Right? It's working through something and always feeling like you're failing a little bit, but then trying to be very attentive on what you could be doing better, right? Yep, you're so welcome, Karitza. Honestly, all still recovering from the crash out and relationship healing after the retrograde. Sending you so much support on that journey. Workplace bullying in all forms is never okay. No, absolutely not. And thank you for the follow, Karitza. I did. Well, when you drop the mic, I'm going to pin you. Friends, we are going to get started on today's Daily Collective Read in the next few minutes. A couple of updates before we do so. First and foremost, I want to thank everyone who attended our recent class that we actually had this week on the Tower card. Thank you so much if you attended in person. If you couldn't attend, that's okay too. I would encourage you to head over to our subscriber only. If you head over to my Substack and become a paid subscriber, you not only do you have access to that class, as a monthly subscriber, you'll have access to over 9 hours worth of material in the Tarot Church Library Class Archive. You'll also have access to a one-on-one chat with me and the other students to ask any questions that you may have in relation to anything we're studying. And if you become a founding member, not only will you have access, well, not only will you have a discount on the full year's worth of classes, but you will also have full access to the Tarot Church Library Class Archive. That is access to over 17 hours. I keep on forgetting how many, 17 hours worth of material in an ever expanding library. Now, one of the things I tried to do, and I got to stress this right now, one of the things I tried to do in these classes was make them accessible to the absolute novice tarot reader and the reader who has a lot of experience. And also, while it's not necessary to catch up, I try to do my best to give you a recap in each class on what we studied thus far. It's a great time to join because what do we got? We got someone do math. I'm terrible at math. We got 17 hours worth of material. You've got a whole month before that next class. You would basically, if you were to sign up today, you could have a whole month of just taking a few classes per week, and you would be all caught up on where we've been before we start that next class. Also, if you become a founding member, not only do you get all of the discounts that I mentioned, but you also receive a complimentary one-on-one mentorship class with me, where I will, if you choose to receive it, where I will meet with you personally to assess where you are on your personal tarot journey and give you the best insights in terms of how to utilize those classes to the best of your effect moving towards your tarot goals moving forward. As I mentioned, these classes are accessible, so don't feel like your limitation in terms of practice should stop you from joining us. And even if you don't become a paid subscriber to my Substack, I would encourage you to follow me there to stay up to date on any new offerings or services. I also post my weekly newsletter there, which will let you know about my in-person events as well as my online live schedule. And if you become a subscriber here on TikTok, you can head over to the Discord and you will find a special coupon code that will give you an additional discount to those classes. I also post over on the on my Substack, my Mystic Meditation articles, which will let you know about giving you an energetic update on what we've been seeing in the cards. I just wrote one recently on the full moon that we experienced. I'm going to be writing one shortly on this new moon coming up. I also want to let you guys know that on top of my standard life path readings, I also offer mentorship classes. These are for any of my students that are seeking a more personalized educational experience with me. I take a very limited number of students for this reason, as those classes are focused on each individual's personal spiritual goals and journey work. Those classes can be purchased on an individual level or as a monthly class series, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits. Also, for my students that are seeking more consistent weekly tarot support, I'm very happy to offer weekly tarot insight packages. That is a package of 4 30-minute readings, again, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits, so that you can stay more consistent on your personal journey. I'm also very happy to now offer dream interpretations. You can purchase these per dream or as a series. If you purchase the series, I would encourage you to start to keep a dream journal, as we will meet weekly or bi-weekly with that journal and utilize the tarot to understand the key themes and messages coming towards you in the dream space. That said, we are going to get started on today's Daily Collective Read in the next few minutes. If you'd like to get on the list for today, the list is open. It's a great time to get on the list. If you get on the list right now, you'll be the first person on the list. The first person on the list will always have an additional card in their reading. 3 cards for a donation of $29 or more. 4 cards for a donation of $23 or more for my subscribers, links in my bio. Please keep in mind there are 2 things I do not read for across these apps: pregnancy and medical. Happy to give insight on anything in private readings, and you can book private readings on my site. I'm going to take a moment to read over some of the comments that came through as it was reading. So good to see you, Alexander. You are right on time. How are you doing today, Storm? Thank you for the follow, dear. Okay, and just bear with me a moment. Hi there. I've had to step in and out. No problem, Kay. I got you. And thank you as well. Thank you for the follow, Karitza. Yeah, thank you. Oh, thank you. Look, Lisa did the math for me. 4.25 classes per week. There you go. You got 4 classes. That's a lot. That's like almost a whole week's of study, or 9 hours, so 2.5. Thank you so much for that, Lisa. Lisa, I appreciate you. Excellent. Apologies. No, you have no problem. I hope that they're doing better, Kay. Excellent. As I mentioned, and hi, how are you doing, Cookie? Cookie. How are you doing, Cooking? All right. So before we get started on the Daily Collective Read, as I mentioned, the list is open. If you would like to get on the list, you'll be the first person read for. I am going to keep the list a little bit short today. So if you want to secure a spot on the list, please do so sooner rather than later. Please also remember we've got 2 giveaways that we're doing today. The first reading giveaway will be a reading giveaway. And when we get to 50K likes, guys, we're already at 14.8K. So make sure you're tapping that screen. Also, when you tap the screen, it encourages us to be pushed out to those who have not received it before. So thank you. And also, I'll be gifting a reading to the highest gifter between now and the conclusion of the Daily Collective Read. So I wish you a lot of luck if you're participating in that as well. Before we begin on our reads, why don't we warm up our intuition muscles with a bit of an intuition check? I've got the animal spirit guide cards here. We're going to take a look at the cards. When I get to 1, I'm going to count back from 10. And when I get to 1, I will reveal the card. So go ahead, take a deep breath, center yourself, and let's see who gets it close. I like how fast you are, Per. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The hair. Thank you guys so much for participating. We'll do that after our collective. And as I mentioned, guys, if you want to get on the list right now, the list is open. That said, no better time than the present. Why don't we get started? How are you doing, Grace? Good to see you, dear. That's all that matters. Excellent. Welcome, everyone. Happy Friday. I'm the Grace Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Friday, August 15th, 2025. What do we have coming through on the cards for today? Can I please have the first 2 cards in our 5-card spread? First 2 cards. Ooh, we are starting today with our 2 of Swords in its reversal, in combination with our Ace of Cups in its upright. Let's talk a bit about this energy. So, as we mentioned, if you've been feeling a little bit more frustrated right now, this is like a reaffirmation of the fact that I felt like with Mercury retrograding, it was actually making things a little bit easier, because the space by which we were seeing that Mercury retrograding in Leo was allowing the context of being able to be energetically adaptable by creating the context of bringing compassion to situations. But the thing you have to understand, and this is often where we recognize the disambiguation between, I keep on hearing, between compassion and energetic kindness, because the space by which we are able to articulate and identify, the space by which we are able to recognize what it is that we're working on to a certain extent, it's allowing the context of being able to recognize what we have, like what we feel energetically important upon, what we feel energetically emotional upon. It feels a lot like I would not be surprised right now if this is a time where there's a lot of clearing out of the energetic throat chakra to a certain extent. But why are we seeing that is effectively occurring right now? Because the space by which I keep on hearing, every emotion that we have is an energetic gift, right? When we look at the space of understanding that everything we feel or everything we have is a gift, it's understanding The validation point comes when we're able to articulate upon the reason that we're bringing an energetic emotion to something, right? And this is the conversation that we have often in the disambiguation that one cannot be emotional and logical in the same breath, right? The guides, like, you absolutely can be emotional and logical in the same breath, because it's the, like, especially when you're feeling passionate upon the things that you are being energetically logical about, right? That is the excitement, right? Like, that is the I keep on saying that is the frustration that allows us to be able to innovate upon things, right? The ability to articulate upon something in such a way that you're able to find an energetic solution to a problem, right? And you have to understand this. Like, the space, I keep on hearing, the space by which one is seeing something that's energetically absurd, or like absurd, but one is not in the context of being confident about saying anything, right? This is why it's not always compassionate to be nice, because compassionate, like niceness is sometimes what we receive in a space of dumbness or numbness, right? It's the context by which we understand and regulate upon our own emotionality that allows us to work through something, but in a way that allows us to find an energetic solution to it. And this is what I keep on seeing that's happening right now in relationality to a lot of these situations or circumstances and some of these relationships that are forming, right? The space by which, and remember, I told you this is what we're experiencing right now. I know how frustrated you are in terms of some of this energy that you may be feeling. Some of the relationships right now that are coming together, this is the culmination of those temperance partnerships. Do you see this? The culmination of some of those temperance partnerships. And I got to tell you, if you didn't have an opportunity to go look at the cards that we pulled yesterday, make sure that you're taking the time to go absorb them. Because one of the things I think is wild about yesterday's reading is we started the reading with the Three of Pentacles and the Ace of Swords in its reversal. And one of the things that we were seeing in relationality to that is working through the context or the understanding of, and it's funny too, because I was almost calling it like sword in the stone energy, which is the space by which we understand. And I keep on seeing too, like the space by which we understand what it is that we energetically stand upon, by which being able to articulate upon the meaning that it has, right? That's the difference. Like, that is the difference in relationality to what we bring to situations, right? It's I keep on seeing the desire or the energetic, like, fuel that forges us into a healthy connection, like the ability to articulate upon a passion in a logical way, right? Like, that is almost like the ambiguation point between a sword and a stone, because it's the understanding of the adaptability in relationality to what you have to bring to a situation, right? And I love that in relationality to the allegory of it, because it talks about, like, that is what we need when we're working through the space of energetic leadership, like, or anything that we're trying to do. It's not about fighting all the time, right? It's not about having to, like, duke it out. No, you can't also be overly firm upon things, right? Because when you're overly firm upon things, you're not allowing the space by which one can innovate and change. When you want to fight all the time, there's never any context to rest. So this is why I feel like there was something really beautiful in relationality to that coming through, because this is almost like, I feel like a lot of this energy is working on, it's not just feeling the emotions that you feel in relationality to what we're going through with this retrograde, but the ability to disambiguate between the internal feeling, right, versus something external. Like, that is the difference that is the correlation point of these temperance energies, because it's the articulation in relationality to understanding what it is that one needs to change. And a healthy spiritual journey much like a healthy relationship, is one that we have good direction sense. If there's something that we need to work upon within ourselves in terms of being more adaptable, or something that we need to modify for or accommodate outside of the self in relationality is something that we are experiencing or working to change. So that's why I keep on seeing that for a lot of the relationships that we're seeing that are coming together at this time, and I need to tell you this, right? There's a couple of different things happening right now for energy and separation. And I would not be surprised if energy right now is experiencing something that is bothering them, but it's not traumatizing them because they have full clarity in terms of what they are energetically seeing. Because again, trauma is only created when something happens that feels like it's not something that we can like recognize, we cannot understand, right? The unreasonableness of something. But the observation and relationality to what is occurring allows us to bring a sense of a level or degree of logic to situations. So that's why I keep on seeing that for a lot of these relationships that are coming together right now, I either see, I've got three different modalities that are occurring right now for energy and separation. I either see right now that there are energies in complete separation that are working on the self, and energy coming back from the past. And what is the lesson that's coming through right now with Saturn and Neptune retrograding together? If that is the space by which another person expected that Saturn was going to resolve a problem, Saturn is almost saying in that retrograde period, how dare you? Because Saturn says, I don't resolve problems, I dissolve them in the space of forgetting, right? And I keep on hearing that the space by which we forget things is something, and again, this is often why Saturn is the guide, because when the only time that Saturn heals something is if somebody was being overly proportional on something, right? If there was something that another person could not see, right? If somebody was the only, like if someone was making a big deal out of something that wasn't important, like that's the type of stuff that Saturn heals. It's the sense of healthy proportion that comes with perspective. So it's not the fact that there aren't situations that Saturn can heal things, but it's usually only in the context of someone making a big deal out of something that wasn't really important, right? Like that's the observation of this. But when we have standards, Saturn doesn't fix anything because our standards don't energetically go away. They don't dissipate. And especially when we're taking care of ourselves, when we're working to nourish the self. So that's why I keep on seeing if these are situations or circumstances wherein another person is coming back not with proportional perspective, but instead saying, are you still upset about that? You like, aren't you glad to see me? Like the space by which one was hoping that the desperation of another waiting upon another person rather than doing the work of healing a relationship was going to resolve something. That's what I meant about some energy right now coming into the space of having a rude awakening, because it's the observation that time doesn't heal things. But sometimes time gives a lot of clarity on what one is healing from, is what I keep on saying. So for a lot of those relationships right now, I keep on hearing the energy that feels potentially fortified as it relates to experiencing something. And I keep on hearing if those are situations where I keep on hearing there isn't the context of progress occurring, a lot of closing out of unhealthy energetic cycles, right? The ability of someone articulating a desire to return to something or not seeing something progress, hoping that enough time passed that it would allow for the space of newness to come back, right? The ability to start again instead of proceed upon where they were going is what I keep on hearing. And the observation of that occurring is fortifying a lot of the relationships that are progressing forward in that way. Now, for a lot of the energy that is moving deeper into like the energy that's moving into like that's coming like together right now, I want to tell you with that Three of Pentacles with the Ace of Swords in its reversal, I see some energy right now being like, you call that. right? I would not, I could see some of these relationships where someone was potentially articulating upon the reasons why there was a separation, and maybe even having the context of saying, I have all assurances of expecting them to come back, right? The space by which another person almost predicates upon the fact that they almost articulate upon the pathwork of another, the cycle, the unhealthy cycle that they were potentially energetically going through with another person, that they were able to predicate. They were able to predicate upon something of that nature occurring. This is the energy. I can see the energy just looking at each other, that Three of Pentacles with the Ace of Swords in its reversal, and almost saying to one another, you set a watch to it. You know, it's the understand, and even in that space, right? And what did I told you? The resolution, the fortification of those relationships that are saying to each other, they're speaking upon the energetic audacity of potentially recognizing someone that wants to come back into repeating an unhealthy cycle instead of progressing and healing in a positive way. And what are they saying to each other as they move deeper into partnership? You have a right to be upset. You have a right to be upset. The observation of being able to recognize and understand the work by which, and I told you, that is the energy that I keep on hearing. They're coming together, and not only are they coming together, feeling protective of each other. They're feeling protective of each other. Center card for today's spread for the energy moving deeper into divine union right now. Oh, we've got here the Three of Wands in its upright. So for the energy moving deeper into divine union right now, everything I keep on seeing has a lot to do. I keep on seeing it has a lot to do with the recognition and the identification point of, and this is, I keep on hearing, this is the energy that is learning to heal an intimacy wound in relationality to playfulness or in relationality to teasing. Because I keep on hearing this same messages coming through. Not, there's a few different things that are happening right now for energy that's moving deeper into divine union. For energy that's moving deeper into divine union, I've got one modality where I'm seeing that energy that's potentially speeding up a timeline. They feel so energetically certain in relationality to what they're finding in the relationship that they may be speeding up a timeline because it doesn't feel like they're moving something faster into relationship because it's going to change it, but because they feel so stable in what they found there. But the chirality that I keep on seeing in relationality to the healing as it relates to playfulness is the difference between withholding. I keep on hearing withholding in a playful way, right? And I keep on hearing the same message coming through. We only tease upon things that there's no question that we're receiving. That's the only time that teasing upon something is energetically playful and kind, right? The kindness is almost trying to it's trying to add a vibration of removal from something, right? The space by which another person articulates that they're taking something away with every understanding that they'll bring it forth. This is the energy that may be feeling at the same time that they're experiencing things of that nature, the reminder of experiences in the past where another person tried to say, I was just playing, when it wasn't playing, it was cruelty, because they weren't offering something. They weren't giving, they weren't they weren't articulating upon something with the full expectation of giving it to another, but almost bringing it out as an energetic condition, right? In terms of saying how like working through the space of making another person feel like they were never going to energetically arrive at that destination, right? The observation of articulating upon something and then even potentially trying to bring playfulness to it in terms of articulating another person's sensitivity, right? Because when someone's being cruel to us, what will they do? They'll tell us we're being too energetically sensitive. So there's a lot, I keep on hearing there's a lot of robust healing there. And I keep on hearing, it's like, I keep on seeing, it's like, it's almost like the energy that works through that playfulness, but at the same time of working through the playfulness, there's like a lot that comes up in the process, right? Continuing to get clarification. I've got two cards coming out right now for the energy deep within divine union, and they're stuck to the table because this energy right now, it is the most unhelpful for the energy deep within divine union. I would not be surprised right now if you're deep within divine union and you're telling me you feel like you're going through a rut, you're going through a lot of frustrating energy. I got to tell you why. These are a lot of those a lot of the energy that we see, not all of it, but some of it is those chariot partnerships that we're starting at around the beginning of the year. Okay. And that is the energy that was from the time that you see, every time, man, Mercury and Venus stationed direct behind Mercury and Venus stationed direct behind Neptune up until the time that we had the Mars stationing direct. Okay, this energy right now is working through this because do you understand how I'm showing you that what's happening right now is the understanding that time doesn't dissolve things, resolving things resolves things, right? This energy these are chariot partnerships. There's no question in relationality to the stabilization point of the relationship. That was the premise by which they came together, right? The reliable force. The difficulty that I keep on seeing in relationality to these energetic connections, and this is what I keep on seeing, is they're working on the ability to articulate their needs to one another. They're working on the ability to articulate their needs to one another. They're working through, they're identifying and recognizing what that energetically feels like. And I keep on seeing it's hard because I keep on seeing that one of the things that we were predicating upon for a lot of those chariot partnerships is there was a lot of, the best way I can describe it when we were reading for it at the time, it was a lot of self-starter energy. Interestingly enough, a lot of those energies that were moving deep into divine union were hyper independent, right? And what does hyper independent energy have a hard time doing? Articulating their needs to have them met because they're working through a lot of wounds that required them to be energetically strong, right? So this is, I keep on seeing, this is a lot of energy right now that is working through the challenges of, I keep on seeing, like, of articulating upon what it is that they want to do, being able to identify and recognize that, being able to speak towards it to one another. But that's why I keep on seeing that even in this space, they're learning to be energetically comprehensive, because I keep on hearing that when we're comprehensive, we work on something that is hard to communicate in order to get better at receiving and asking for it. So that's why I keep on seeing that a lot of that energy doing that work, it may be feeling triggered, right? Old wounds from the past reemerging, even in the context of receiving something different, in the context of understanding what it means to be able to work through something with a lot of that energetic supportive energy surrounding the self. Continuing to get clarification between our Ace of Cups in its upright in combination with our Two of Swords in its reversal. There's that Seven of Pentacles in its reversal. I'll tell you right now, this this energy and separation is having a lot of conversations as it relates to sensitivity. And I keep on seeing the fact that for some of the energy right now in separation, healing from some experiences wherein another person articulated that someone was being hypersensitive. Because I keep on getting the space by which we now, and I keep on hearing, if you if you are in the space by which I keep on hearing and I literally see this energy like helping each other. Like it says to me, like they're almost helping one another through something. I almost feel like seeing the energy say, somebody was trying to say that hypersensitivity was a weakness instead of a gift, is what I keep on getting. But I keep on recognizing that for a lot of those energies in separation, I keep on hearing the same messages coming through, which is the space by which we understand and recognize that I keep on hearing, you can't have it both ways. You can't be doing all the work to make something energetically possible, and then another person articulate to you as you're doing all that work to make something energetically possible, and then you start to like fracture under the weight of it, and then another person tells you that you're being too sensitive, right? I almost see that energy that is working through the space of like talking towards one another and saying that you know, when we don't want to, like, when we don't want to do the work upon something and another person gets upset, it's very easy to then try to articulate the fact that another person was being hypersensitive, right? Because I keep on hearing it's the icing on the cake is what I keep on hearing. I keep on hearing it's not enough to say they were being, and this is why, and this is important because we always have to ask the right questions. When someone says, what were you being hypersensitive about? Having that conversation, right? Because often when we get to the bottom of another person articulating that we were being hypersensitive, we can usually identify the source of the frustration in relationality to what one was trying to work upon, right? And I can almost see this energy that's helping one another heal, but by saying it doesn't sound like you were being hypersensitive, because when you're being hypersensitive, all you say is "ow," is what I keep on hearing. When you're being hypersensitive, all you say is "ow," which is the space by which you say, "I'm in pain." But if you're trying to work upon something and you're saying, "This is really bothering me," is what I keep on hearing the energy and separation saying to one another. If you're saying to someone, "This is the source of the pain," that isn't hypersensitivity. That is diagnosing. That is diagnosing. That is the ability to articulate upon something that can heal, is what I keep on hearing. And so I almost hear this energy that's having the recognition point that often those that don't want to work on problems, right? When you diagnose a problem, when you're able to understand what the source of it is, and another person looks at you in that moment and says, "You're being hypersensitive," right? Like almost in the space of articulating to another, right? Like the space by which another person starts to, like, I keep on seeing, like throw blame towards it. I can almost hear the energy say, it sounds like you hit the it sounds like you like it sounds like you got too close, like you recognized the difference between the direction that something was going in, right? Versus like something that another person did not want to work upon to heal, is what I keep on seeing, right? And I keep on hearing, like, this is what I meant about these relationships that are saying, like, I see these temperance relationships that are saying this, that says to me, like, and I keep on hearing them say this, it sounds to me like you were trying to give them a gift. Sounds to me like you were trying to give them a gift, right? Because what's beautiful about that is when we're working upon something and we're able to identify something that we could be doing in a better way, and we truly when we truly have our intentions set in terms of what it is we want to create together, then when we articulate upon something that we need to remediate upon to do it better, that's a point of celebration. That's always welcomed in a healthy relationship. The ability, I keep on hearing, the ability to recognize and diagnose a problem in a healthy relationship is always a benefit, because it's not about being hyperly sensitive. It's about being able to immediately address and be pragmatic as it relates to coming into a space of resolving it. And so that's why I keep on seeing that energy is saying to one another. And again, I keep on seeing that if these are relationships where they were having, like, I almost see some energy right now that saw the fracturing of a relationship in the midst of them trying to get the directions as to where it was going. And then in the space of another person asking for the directions, that's when all the problems emerge, right? Like that's where all the confusion started. That's where all of the accusations started to rise up. This is the energy saying, it sounds less like there was an energetic problem that was occurring, but more someone that was trying to articulate by creating another problem rather than getting to the source of the recognition of what wasn't energetically working, which is, again, healthy relationships share mutual manifestation goals on the same timeline. This is a lot of the energy, and this is what I like about these temperance relationships. These are the relationships that are pragmatic, because what they're saying to each other is, I would never waste your time like that. Time is precious. And that's why I keep on seeing, like, again, with Neptune and Saturn in retrograde, I keep on hearing this energy that articulates to oneself and says there's no greater grievance than to give someone a false manifestation goal. because that's the energy that feels like, again, working towards something should lead to the arrival of it. But the observation of the difference of not embodying it, right? This is the energy that is working through a lot of those lessons that say that the ability to articulate the desire for something must be incorporated with one's own ability to move in accordance to it. Right? That is what creates an energetic sense of stability. And it's not, I keep on hearing the difference between a wish and a manifestation is how we walk towards it. And so that's why I keep on hearing this energy that's articulating to one another and saying, I would never waste your time like that. I would never give you a false sense of direction in relationality as to where you could expect the relationship to go. And I keep on hearing that this is also the energy that says, I know myself enough that not only do I articulate upon the things that I'm investing upon, but I also have the energetic force of effort by which to move towards it. So that's why I said a lot of these temperance relationships, there's a lot of that space by which they're sharing the frustration. And particularly and especially if these are situations where they're experiencing some kind of karmic situation of someone coming back and expecting that enough time had passed to be able to energetically return back to something that they desired instead of moving forward into a manifestation goal. This brings us to a lot of the energy that's moving deeper into divine union right now. Clarification between our Two of Swords in its reversal in combination with our Three of Swords in its upright. Can I get one card to clarify, please? Clarification coming through right now with the Queen of Swords. I love seeing the Queen of Swords out. The Queen of Swords does not come out a lot when I'm reading. It really doesn't. It's very much like the Hermit in that way. It's like, but this is also important, right? Because you have to understand, and I feel like this is what's important in relationality. This is what's important in relationality to, and I need to stress this. Look at this. I want to show you this because this is so powerful. And for those who are on the podcast, you'll be able to see the spread over on the Substack. We've got here the Queen of Swords in its upright and the Three of Wands in its upright. And what do we see with those two cards in combination together? It's the observation, right? It's a continuing of the conversation upon the fact that ultimately the thing that's so annoying about having standards is we wish we didn't have to carry them, right? Like all of us deeply, deeply wish that we didn't have to go around carrying our standards all the time. But the hard part is it's the observation that the sense of trust, like what is trust? But trust is the space and context wherein we recognize a person who holds our standards as they would our own. It's the ability to articulate. It's the ability to understand that. It's ability to work through something. And that's why when we know ourselves, we know our energetic standards, right? We're able to communicate them. We're able to articulate them because when we articulate our standards, that is the greatest gift that we give to those around us, right? And because in the space by which the standards help us navigate the energy that we find ourselves in. Because when we're in a healthy space, we respect each other's standards. When we're not in a healthy space and we articulate our standards and another person starts articulating and pushing against them, starts telling us that we're being energetically unreasonable, right? Starts saying to us that we're asking for too much, that's usually a sign that we're in the wrong space, right? That right there. And I keep on hearing now, and this is important because we're going to talk a bit about for a moment about the difference between neediness and a fixed point of need. Remember, it is never needy to have a standard so long as the standard is a fixed point. This is coming through very, very heavily in this retrograde cycle. There is an important thing to recognize with your standards, okay? The difference between having a standard and being energetically needy is a standard that moves, okay? Now, here's the thing that's interesting about it. When we care about each other, standards will change, but it's not the fact that standards change. You have to understand that often it can look, when we're in deep energetic connection with one another, it can look like we don't, like our standards are changing, but that is not the sign of standards that are changing. That is built upon the trust of navigating with someone who holds our standards for us. This is what we mean when we come into the space of vulnerability. It's not the space that we throw our standards out the window, but we work in accordance with building trust with another person who holds our standards as they would their own. This is often the articulation point of those that we come to trust. We don't feel like we always have to be on guard all the time because we trust each other's energetic judgment. Simultaneously and similarly, I'm seeing here that the understanding of healing from situations or circumstances where another person, and this is why it's important that we hold our standards in accordance, because when we are building into a healthy space, we hold those standards, we're able to identify them to others, and then we're able to share them. And often, though, and this is what we have to, this is the disambiguation point between neediness and a standard. When we have a standard that fluctuates, goes all over the place, it's here, it's there, it's everywhere. Where is the standard, right? The standard becomes whack-a-mole. This can create a lot of trauma in those around us. This can create a lot of trauma in those around us because it's the scrambling to meet another person's standards, but the standard itself that does not remain in a place. This can sometimes create a relationship where it feels like you're walking upon eggshells with another person, because that's the moment that someone says, it's here, it's there, it's everywhere. Where's the standard? I don't know. Have you found it yet? Oh, you failed. Wrong standard. Now you're in trouble. Like, that's the space by which often trauma is occurring, right? So that is why we see, and this is what I keep on identifying here, what's beautiful about a lot of these magician partnerships that are coming together right now is a lot of energy. I feel like a lot of this energy is recovering from the space by which another person identified. Remember, these are relationships that they're feeling the mutual appreciation between one another. The space by which another person was not holding them in the perfectitude of the self, but was idealizing them, right? Which is the imaginary standards that we create around another person, right? And when we're idealizing, this is why idolatry is so difficult. When you idealize, you can never build a healthy relationship because you're not feeling the joy of getting to know another person, but the disappointment of them not living up to the imaginary standards that you created of them in your head, the artificial creation point that lives within the self. And this is why when we're in a healthy space, we don't build into the potential of another person as it relates to their energetic connection to us. We embrace the reality of them. And this is why I keep on seeing that what's beautiful about some of these magician partnerships that are coming together right now is, what is the gift that they give one another? Zero expectations in the best way possible. Not the fact that they don't have expectations, but the expectations exist in the direction of the relationship, not in the demands of the person. Because that is the difference between the space that when we are in a point of love, we honor each other's choices. We don't come into the context of feeling that another person is failing us if they're not arriving to our expectation of them was. So that's why I keep on seeing there's a beautiful flourishing that's occurring right there, because there's a lot of the energy. Look at the masculine and feminine in these relationships, right? Masculine gets to exist in the space of allowing their inner child to be set free, right? With the energetic force, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what one feels most aligned to, with a feminine energy that protects those dreams as they would their own, and a feminine that feels safe to be in their authenticity and become more vulnerable, with a masculine who holds their standards as they would their own. So here we see that there's a lot of that beauty that's occurring. And that's why I see even now that for a lot of those relationships, I would not be surprised if there isn't an escalation in timeline that's occurring, because it's the energy that doesn't feel like they need to wait. They're feeling it, they're experiencing it, and they're saying, this is what I like. This is what it feels like to be in a healthy space. Continuing to get clarification for the energy deep within divine union right now, and this energy right now for them, it's not, and I'll put it this way. Everything is energetically beneficial, but I keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy deep within divine union, it is the observation and recognition of being able, and I keep on seeing this here, for some of the energy that is deep within divine union, working through something in the past, like working through the past in a way that feels energetically triggering, but being able to see how far one has come, right? And one of the things I keep on identifying here for a lot of the energy that is deep within divine union. And this is the hard part for some of this energy right now, because you'll recall that some of this energy, the most recent energy moving deep within divine union, were those chariot partnerships. This energy right now isn't fortifying the direction of the partnership, but it has more to do with the observation of being able to address something from the past that potentially caused a lot of pain within the self, right? Working through old triggers, working through difficulties to a certain extent. But that's why I keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy doing that work, right? The ability to articulate. I keep wondering the ability to articulate upon how one is feeling rather than reacting to it. Being able to bring that level or degree of pragmatism to situations. I told you, this is the energy that's learning to articulate in order to facilitate their needs being met. The observation and the ability to communicate upon something that allows for an energetic breakthrough. So I keep on seeing that for a lot of energy right now, this may be feeling like one is struggling through communicating upon old wounds, but this is how one has a breakthrough in the space of being able to navigate forward from them. Continuing to get clarification between our Six of Pentacles in combination with our Lover's card. Heavy on the 6 energy today because the Lover's card is also a 6 card. We've got here our Chariot card. So our Chariot card in its reversal. For a lot of the energy in separation right now, this is why what's happening for some of these relationships that are coming together right now feels so fundamental. Why does it feel so fundamental right now for some of these relationships that are coming together right now? Because the observation, right? I almost see that for some of these energies in separation, articulating upon an unhealthy energetic cycle in the past, I keep on seeing that there may have even been a bit or a condition wherein they were anxious or fearful about something coming back from the past, disrupting the progress that they've energetically made. But this is why I keep on seeing that there's something about those experiences that feels like it is so fortifying. Because I would not be surprised right now if there's energy in separation that is feeling reaffirmed in relationality to their own healing cycle, or these are new relationships that are starting that are feeling fortified in terms of working towards the amplification of doing something energetically together. Because I keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy doing that work, recognizing and identifying upon what one is trying to do in a better fashion. This is, I'm going to tell you right now, this is the arrival point for a lot of that energy in terms of working through an embodied manifestation, because the energy is embodying the manifestation, not only in just saying that they're healing from a past that they'd rather not return back to, but they're making the intentional choice in relationality to the direction that they're approaching towards, right? This is the energy that is feeling that deepening of trust in the context of articulating upon situations from the past in the space of not only articulating and predicating upon it, but also being able to amplify in relationality to the direction that they're heading in mutually. So that's why I keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy and separation coming together right now, this could also be a time of a lot of relief, as it were. Maybe even articulating upon old doubts or old fears as it relates to the interference of fresh relationship from energetic connections of the past. While for a lot of the energy right now that's in separation, that same sense is coming towards some of these situations in the identification point of, right, the observation of the difference of something that feels like it's energetically healthy because another person is trying to come into a space of accountability and restoration versus someone trying to articulate upon missing. Missing doesn't heal anything. Missing doesn't heal anything. Fixing things fixes things. That reaffirms to the energy, like why, like I keep on saying, why they may have moved away from something in the first place is what I keep on seeing. I keep on hearing the way, like, missing doesn't fix anything. The space by which another person articulates upon how much They like, I keep on hearing, and this is what I like, I'm not surprised to see this with the fact that we've got that Pisces full moon energy coming through. Emotions, the magnitude of emotions does not fix something. The magnitude of emotions upon how we feel doesn't fix something, right? And even in the space of saying, like, oh, like there's a magnitude of emotions, I can almost see some energy saying it's not about the magnitude of emotions, it's about the direction that something is headed towards. And so that's why I keep on seeing that that's a lot of the energy that's also working through the space. And this is what's so important. Often we build profoundly big emotions in very terrible places. Sometimes we build profoundly big emotions in very terrible places. That is what trauma feels like. And that's why it's so hard to heal from traumatic situations, because it's not that we don't have feelings upon them, it's that we have too many feelings. We have too many unresolved feelings, right? There's always a reason that we often stay in traumatic situations, and that it's a hope that something's going to improve. But that's why I keep on seeing that that is the gift of a lot of the energy in separation. They're not conducting their choices based upon the quantity of emotions, but the quality of whether something has energetically improved. Continuing to get clarification between our Eight of Pentacles in its reversal in combination with our Queen of Swords in its upright. Can I get one card to clarify, please? We've got here our Nine of Pentacles in its reversal. And I keep on hearing that there's something really beautiful. I keep on hearing there's something really beautiful. I keep on hearing an argumentation point and someone saying, you're making a big mistake, and someone else saying, I'm making better choices. Is what I keep on hearing. There's something that's happening right now in separation. I keep on hearing the difference between someone saying you're making a big mistake versus I'm making better choices, which is often when you're making better choices, the song you will hear is you're making a big mistake. Because even in the space of another person threatening is what I keep on hearing, even in the space of another person articulating something in the form of an energetic threat, right? Even in the space of another person not resolving upon what it is that needs to be healed, right? Just articulating upon the intensity by which they're trying to articulate wrongness. Like I keep on hearing, you can't fix something and in the same breath say that someone is wrong, is what I keep on hearing. You can't fix something and even in the space of trying to fix it, articulate the wrongness of a person. Because you'll remember that a lot of these relationships, a lot of these energies in separation are healing from places that were keeping them in perpetual rejection. So even in someone being in a space of trying to fix something and saying you are making a big mistake, I can almost see the energy in separation saying that is also a form of rejection. Is what I keep on hearing. That is also a form of rejection, and a form of rejection is a form of protection. That is also a form of rejection, and a form of rejection is a form of protection, which is the space by which we don't heal something by making, I keep on hearing, by making big noises or by making big energetic pronouncements. We fix them by being able to identify and recognize what the work is. So that's why I keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy, even in the context and some of these new relationships that are forming right now, like the observation of understanding what it takes to fix something, the beauty of identifying the difference between trying to demand something from another person, but I keep on hearing, like, this is the energy that says we don't put pressure on a healthy relationship. We navigate it with tenderness and delicacy. We work to understand an energetic problem. We identify something in a way to be able to energetically sort it out. I keep on seeing that this is the energy that is reaffirming to each other and saying your sensitivity is a gift in a precious relationship, because that's what you need in order to fine tune it, to take it from perfect to exceptional. While for the energy that's coming into divine union, clarification between our Queen of Swords in its upright and our Three of Swords in its reversal. Oh man, look at these counterparts right now. Before you, I thought I was a blunt instrument. That's what I keep on hearing for a lot of the energy coming into divine union right now. Before you, I thought I was a blunt instrument. Before you, I thought that there was something I was doing that was articulating upon my own ineptitude in order of doing something. The space by which the energy is healing from experiences wherein another person was trying to say that instead of being perfect, they were inept, right? Instead of being perfect, they weren't arriving to another person's expectations of them. So that's why I keep on seeing that for a lot of those relationships, that ability of feeling energetically sacred is understanding that when we are in spaces or in relationships where another person is continually berating us about our ineptitude, what they're really saying is, I want you to be someone else. You can't like I don't you can I don't want you I don't want you for who you are. I want you for who exists in here. And that's why I keep on seeing that in this energy. Look at these counterparts, right? This is what it feels like for that energy as they move towards one another. Because for masculine, when the feminine holds energetic standards that are clear for the masculine to see, it allows them to feel vulnerable enough to share their dreams with the feminine. And simultaneously, when feminine is able to build into the context of seeing a masculine who holds their standards as they would their own, that is the feminine that feels even stronger in the context of being themselves. So we see even now, like there's a lot of this counterpart energy, which is why I wouldn't be surprised if there's some energy right now that is moving towards one another because they're moving deeper into partnership, not for the sense of changing something, but because of the certitude that they feel in the context of being in relationship together. Continuing to get clarification between our Three of Swords in its reversal in combination with our Chariot card in its reversal. Ooh, we've got the Queen of Swords and the Hermit together. Oh, wow. The Queen of Swords and the Hermit together. Let's talk about it. The reason I'm articulating upon this is because I was literally just saying, you heard me earlier, the two cards that don't often like to come out in my deck are the Queen of Swords and the Hermit. For me, they're very similar energies. I'm going to be talking about it at one point in the Tarot Church classes, what we find, what we see in relationality to the similarity that we identify in the energetic experience of these cards. But what we effectively identify and recognize that is so valuable and important in relationality is working through. I keep on hearing